Hey, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing LeetCode number 20, valid parentheses. It's a pretty common LeetCode problem, and it's also in the blind 75. In order to solve this problem, we're going to be implementing what's called a stack. It's a little bit different than what we've been doing before, but with that being said, let's get started. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Given a string S containing just the characters open parentheses, closing parentheses, open curly brace, closing curly brace, open square bracket, and closing square bracket, determine if the input string is valid. An input string is valid if open brackets are closed by the same type of brackets, open brackets are closed in the correct order, and every closed bracket has a corresponding open bracket of the same type. So you can see here, this is valid because we have an open parentheses and a closing parentheses. This here is valid because we have an open parentheses, closing parentheses, open square bracket, closing square bracket, and the same thing for the curly brace. So this is true. The last part is false because we have a mismatched parentheses. All right, let's go ahead and read our notes. If there is an odd number of brackets, we're going to return false, because in order to have a valid parentheses, we need to have an even number of parens, right? We can't have 3 parentheses, otherwise it's a mismatch, and we're going to return false if it's a mismatch. The next thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to create a map to keep track of our parentheses. So you can see here I've created a map. It's going to be with an closing parentheses, and its value is going to be the open parentheses. And we're going to do that for all 3 types of parentheses. We want to keep a stack to keep track of our open parentheses. So as we move through this, our open parentheses are going to be added to the stack. And with the for loop to iterate through the array, we're going to create a for loop to iterate through the array, and we're going to keep a variable to keep track of our character, our current character. If our current character is an open parentheses and not a closing parentheses, we're going to add it to the stack. If the current character is a closing bracket and its value, the matching open bracket, is the last character, we're going to pop it off of the stack. If it is not the matching character, then we're going to return false. Right, as we add to the stack, we're keeping track of our open parentheses. We want to make sure that whenever we come across our closing parentheses, that we have that matching case in the stack. Otherwise, we know that we have a mismatch, and then we're going to return false. At the very end, we're going to return whether or not we've been left with any open brackets in the stack. So if we get through the for loop and all we have is open brackets, well, there's going to be something on the stack, right? Because we're adding it anyway through the for loop. And if there's anything in the for loop, we're going to return false because we have a mismatch. There's not any closing characters to match that open parentheses. All right, so let's go ahead and look at what a stack actually is. A stack is a linear data structure that follows a particular order in which the operations are performed. The order may be LIFO, last in first out, or FILO, first in last out. LIFO implies that the element that is inserted last comes out first, and FILO implies that the element that is inserted first comes out last. So you can see here they're sort of like building blocks. We can't pull from the bottom, otherwise our building blocks are going to fall. And in order to pull off the right way, we're going to pop off, right? Alrighty, let's go ahead and get started here with our valid parentheses, and let's go ahead and jump in. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to start with our conditional. So if s.length modulo 2 does not equal 0, if it is not even, we're going to return false. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add in our map. I'm just going to copy our map since I already have it here. And we're going to backspace one time, and we're going to get the comments out of there. All right, perfect. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to declare a stack, which is an empty array. Now it looks like an empty array, but when we think about stacks, we only have certain methods that we perform on them. So it's going to act as an array, but the way that we're going to work with it is a little bit different. So we're going to say for let I equals 0, And then we're going to say I is less than s.length. We're creating our iteration here. And then we're going to say I++. Okay, perfect. The next thing we want to do is we want to declare a variable to keep track of our current character. So char is s of I. All right, we're all set up. Let's go ahead and do some work. So as I said below, in the for loop, we're going to iterate through the array, and then we're going to keep track of our character. And in the conditional, if the character is an opening parentheses and not a closing paren, we're going to add it to the stack. How do we know that it's an open parentheses? Well, we know it's an open parentheses if it's not a key in our map, right? So if it's not a key in our map, we're going to add it to the stack. Stack.push char. Else if the current character is a closing bracket and its value, the matching opening bracket, is the last character, we're going to pop it off the stack. So let's say that we have this open character. Let's say that the map of the character is open, is a closing bracket. So currently our character is the closing parentheses. Well, if the stack contains our open parentheses, well, we're going to pop it off. So we're going to say if map of char is equal to our current character. I'm sorry, if the map of char is equal to the stack, the last character on our stack, -1. This is our last character on the stack. We're going to pop it off. So stack.pop. Otherwise, if our map char does not equal the last character on the stack, we're going to return false. Because we know that it's a mismatch. So we're going to return false. And again, so if all of the characters in the stack are open parentheses, and we've gone through the string and they're all open parentheses and they're all in the stack, well, we need to check the stack length. So we're going to return stack.length. And if it has anything on there, if there are any leftover open parentheses, we're going to return false. Otherwise, we're going to return true. If the stack is empty, we're going to return true. All right, let's go ahead and run this. And all of our test cases pass. So let's go ahead and take a look at case number 5. You can see here that we have open parentheses, and I just want to nail this thing home. I want to drive this point home. So let's go ahead and take a look at our stack here. If I do console.log stack, we're going to see that both of those parentheses are in there, and that's why we want to make sure that our stack.length is false and there's nothing in there. If there is, then we're going to return false because this is invalid. Alrighty, let's go ahead and submit this. And great, our runtime is 56 seconds with memory of 42 megabytes. Alrighty folks, that's all I have for today. I hope you have a great day and a great rest of your week.